Hello, my loves, and welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Laura Lalaki, international real estate agent, and your host for today. Today, we are talking about a story that has rocked a lot of parents and communities alike. A Maryland second grader was rushed to the hospital after being hung in a school bathroom by an older student. The boy's family has shared their outrage, calling for answers from the school, which labeled the incident as horseplay. But is this really just horseplay or a sign of deeper issues in our schools? Let's talk about safety, bullying, and the systematic failures that are being put to our children and putting them at risk. Today, I have an excellent panel. We are joined by Athena Gardner, CPA and wealth coach, Marlo Layson, TV and film producer, Joe Corley, our licensed therapist, mental wellness coach, and educator, and Tierra, our producer and actress. We have some deep conversations to have, but before we start with the video, I want a rapid response from you. And I'm going to just need a quick yes or no in this. Have you ever been bullied in your life? Tierra?
Yes.
Marlo?
Yes.
Joe?
Absolutely.
Athena?
Yes.
So it's fair to say that all of us, including myself, have had experience with bullying in our own life. But now we're going to be talking about, whereas we're all adults now, we're now going to be talking about our children. So we'll be back after watching this video. Prepare your hearts. I am going to give you a warning. This is a distressing subject. So if you are very sensitive to things like this, please take yourself some time to check out for a minute and maybe join us later, because this is a pretty serious topic. Okay, let's check out what happened.
I spoke with the parents who say they're angry, hurt, and confused, but they're also thankful that their son is still here. And tonight they're calling for transparency and answers from the Charles County Public School District.
If you look at my son, he has marks under his eyes, like blood vessels.
He still has bruises on his neck from being choked.
It's hard to hide emotion as these two parents who don't want to be identified talk about their son. They're hoping for answers after they say their son was hung by a fourth grade student in the boys' bathroom Friday.
He's traumatized. Right. It's going to take time. This is not something that he's going to get over just overnight.
Paperwork from the hospital lists one of his injuries as a neck contusion, which is caused by blunt trauma to the neck. The 7-year-old is a second grader at C. Paul Barnhart Elementary School in Waldorf. Charles County Public Schools says they're aware of the incident and sent a statement saying, in part, 2 of our students were reportedly horseplaying in a school bathroom when one student's jacket got caught on a stall door hook. The student was not able to free themselves, and the other student involved was also not able to help them.
It doesn't make sense to me. If you're horseplaying, how do you get caught on a hook? Like, we need answers. I want answers, and we won't stop until we get answers.
And now the parents say they're sharing their side of the story in hopes of preventing this from happening to anyone else.
My son did tell me that when they were in the bathroom, he said that the little boy told him, I'm going to show you how I did people back in the day. That's why I feel like it's bullying, because it's no telling how many other kids this has happened to.
And they want the school district to step up.
I want to see a policy in place. I would like to see at least hallway monitors. I want to know, why is a fourth grader in the same hallway or the same bathroom as a second grader? Most schools have them divided. I feel like this is very unacceptable.
And these are all our children, and they are the future. So we need to protect them. Like, we're sending our kids to schools every day thinking that they are safe.
Very traumatizing, and you can just hear the pain, the deep pain in the parents' voices as they are sharing their experience with us. Tierra, I'm going to ask everybody this question, including our viewership, because I do want your initial responses to how did you feel when you first heard about this incident?
Yeah, I mean, I was troubled for sure. I was thinking, I was triggered because, I've experienced this with my own daughter, sending her to school and finding out later that she was being bullied or harassed or called a nigga, we went through all of the things. And so at some point we just had to pull her out of school. So she is independently homeschooled. But yeah, we had issues. So it was very triggering.
And you're in California, which is considered more of a relaxed type of state.
Yeah. I mean, in certain instances, it's a little too liberal, but in other instances, it's like, I think, the school district wanted to protect themselves. The teachers, they protect the teachers. There's all these systems in place to make sure that they don't look a certain way, if you know what I mean. So that's
Yes,
very frustrating.
it can be, definitely.
Yeah.
So Marlo, how did you feel when you first heard about this incident?
I was troubled. I think that it's really a sad situation, right? Anytime children are like harming one another, I don't know. I was an accident prone child, so the idea of your jacket being tied around your neck and getting stuck on the door, it sounds like a child's lie, right? And I think that I've done the job of school district communications before, and I know how hairy that is. I know, I think Tiara touched on litigation or the possibility of litigation. They are afraid. America is the most litigious country in the world. There's a lawsuit for everything, a lawyer always willing to file a lawsuit. So I think that school districts are in a very precarious situation because they are there to protect kids, but at the same time, people want the school district and the schools to raise their children. And so it just puts everybody in a bad light. But it was definitely disturbing, and my heart goes out as a parent because I don't know, I might be locked up. Somebody put their hand on my kid, like in that type of situation. I don't know if I will understand. So it's really disturbing.
It is disturbing. And one thing that I want to address before we move on to your thoughts, Joe, is we do not know the race of these children. I've noticed that in the chat, we're having people, just assuming the race, but we don't know at this point. So we cannot put in the element of racial issues when we don't know the full story. So let's please take that into account as well during our conversations. Joe, how did this story take you?
I mean, if you observe my face, you can tell I was really troubled by it. Not only as a therapist, but as somebody who worked in schools for over a decade. Just knowing and understanding what this is and watching how terrible children can be to each other was frustrating. But also knowing and understanding that where the education system is today, I don't think that we are equipped to deal with the dynamics of the troubles that these kids are bringing into the schools and what they're facing. A very low percentage of the staff is equipped or trained or even intentional about dealing with the bully and the bullied. So it bothered me quite a bit. It frustrates me to no end. And my personally, at this stage, my son has been homeschooled for the past 5 years or so because I don't trust the public school system at all.
So that's two parents on our panel who are homeschooling. I'm hearing this more and more every day. A lot of my friends who have children in our school age are also homeschooling, or they've gotten together with other parents to do a conglomerate of homeschooling. Athena, how did you feel when you first heard about this incident?
I don't have any children, right? But I imagine if I had a child, like I would go crazy. People would be on the phone, everybody getting sued. I'm pulling up, I'm busting down on the dusty parents, everybody getting it. Somebody has to pay. And if I can't get legal justice, I'm getting spiritual justice. I'm gonna find somebody, put a root on you. You have to go down. You got to go down.
But see, that's what's interesting to me about this. There are levels of bullying, not that any of them are lessened by power, because words for me, like I'm an empath, so words hurt just as much as you smacking me in my face. But you are at a point now where children are putting hands. You're hearing more and more of hands on stuff. And one of the things that we heard that the school claimed that this is horseplay. Now, Tiara, do you think the school's response was adequate, and why or why not?
No, I saw something that I saw. It said that when the principal walked in, this is what the mother said. When the principal walked into the bathroom, the baby was hung but foaming at the mouth. So I don't know if, and again, I don't know how true I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, but if that is the situation, there's no way a principal can walk in and say, "Oh, this is horseplay." Like if I was the principal, there's no way that I would even open my mouth to say anything like that. I think it was irresponsible. But foaming at the mouth, I mean, I thought that the child had passed, but thankfully they were able to get him off and get him, to the hospital.
I did not know that. To me, that's
Yeah.
totally different level. Joe,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about that because I did mention levels of bullying, and all of them are traumatic. It's not just one form of bullying. Can you kind of give a take on like the history of some of the bullying that you have possibly seen in your counseling, or what do you think these parents did the right thing by calling attention to this? Because the media, the mass media, did not do a thing until they started posting live. So is this a response that we should be doing now when we don't have anybody speaking up?
Yeah. Like I said, I'd say, so I still do actually run groups for teen and adolescents with high acuity, meaning these kids are coming in wanting to die or they're self-harming already. And a lot of the problems that I witnessed and observed was rooted in school, and
Yes.
it's not just the kids being the bullies, but also the teachers are also the bullies as well. So
Yes.
we're expecting, the teachers and the administrations to police something that they are doing themselves. What is it rooted in? I mean, we're talking about at this day and age, we're talking about racial, we're talking about gender, we're talking about economics, and we're talking just bringing trauma in from home.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the lack of control that some of these kids have at home makes them want to come to school and control what they can control, and so that's turning some of them into bullies. But that's also part of the reason why kids are escalating to just levels that we're not equipped to deal with. All right, so until we figure out that system, we're in trouble.
Lala, can I add to that? Because that is
Sure.
definitely, or when you're dealing with all of those things, right? For my daughter, we dealt with all of those things. We dealt with bullying. She dealt with harassment. She dealt with like people trying to push gender and all of that on her. I mean, there was so many pressures on top of, and she would come home and not say what happened. But then, we would have situations where she would like, be taking a pin and sticking it in her arm or sticking it, or saying like, telling other students, I should just jump off the balcony. Like we had to take my daughter, to the hospital. It's a real thing, y'all. And so, and I, just being transparent because I understand like there's a level and our children are like facing all of those things. And like Joe said, another element of this is like, kids aren't nice. This is like they are mean. They say anything. I mean, they say anything. My daughter started to develop, and so the girls would be like, "Whoa," and talk about her. So she would come home and be like, "Can I take my breast down? Can I do that?" I mean, y'all. I mean, everything you can imagine. So I see that more Black kids are committing suicide, and I think I understand why. Thank God my daughter's on the other side of that, us taking her out and just like allowing her to decompress from all of that and like just rub
Be a
on her.
kid.
Yes, and be a
Yes.
kid and have her around sane people, because that's the other part of it. And it's just you sending your kids off to school to all of these broken children who are learning all kinds of toxic things at home. Here you are thinking like everybody raises their children like you, but they don't.
They don't.
They
They
don't.
don't. And this topic is pretty heavy, so hopefully we'll have some solutions as well. We definitely have a therapist here who has experience with this. We're going to take a short break and take a deep breath, and then we'll be right back.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens, that's Queens, that's Queens, to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes? If you want.
Yes, it's so simple, guys. Really, if you haven't done it by now, you know us well enough that you know you need to. Go ahead and text the word Queens, Queens, to 87948. Okay. So we really would like you to make sure that you don't miss any type of show that we have. I want to take a look at some stats because I think these are very important for us to address. Bullying in school. So according to the National Center of Education Statistics in the 2021-22 school year, 19% of students aged 12 through 18. Now notice that's a different dynamic. This is just a smaller dynamic. Reported being bullied during school. 22% reported that bullying happened online, new element for us because we didn't grow up with this online stuff, or by text. That's absolutely crazy. Bullying is a serious problem affecting 20 to 40% of children, while approximately 25% of children report being bullied. Up to 40% report exposure to bullying. These numbers are absolutely astonishing to me. 13% being the subject of rumors. So these are the different types of bullying. 12% being made fun of, called names and insulted. 5% pushed, shoved, tripped, or spit on. This is where we're getting physical. 3% threatened with harm. 3% having others share their private information, such as photos and videos on purpose. We are at a complete different level here. When I grew up, there was no online, there was no texting. We just dealt with the bullies at the school, and a lot of time for me, it was physical. I was constantly being shoved because I was different, and we all said that we have been experienced. My son has also done that too because he is in the arts. And so there comes a certain stigma that comes with kids that are in the arts. So for whatever reason, someone doesn't like you is the reason they just don't like you. So Marlo, what are your thoughts on a 7-year-old being involved in something like this at school? 7 years old, not even double digits.
My daughter is in middle school. She's an 8th grader. And she frequently tells me about issues between 8th graders and 6th graders. And she's like, they got into it on the bus or like whatever. Like she lives walking distance. So she's home pretty quick after cheer, but it's frequent, right? And if you think about the dynamics, I'm sure if you look at this child's home life, right, this child is probably the run of the litter. This child is probably getting the brunt of bullying from older siblings or neighbor children or things like that, right? And they just, like Joe said, they experience on the outside and then they come into the school setting and they exhibit everything that they're shown, right? My daughter used to do this thing where she'd go to school and then she'd come home and reenact her day. When she'd be sitting at the table, she yelling at somebody, she telling somebody, go sit down. I'm going to the office. Don't y'all say nothing while I'm gone. Like she would really reenact her day and children are constantly watching, right? So I would tell the teachers, she gonna come home and tell me what's going on in the classroom. So you might want to act accordingly because she's gonna act it out. But I think that people just feel like this is a normal part of childhood. Like we all said, we all experience bullying in some form. Most people have, many people have, whether they admit it or not, whether they admit it is bullying or not. But this also falls in line with hazing, right? This child probably had some type of incident happen with with them with an older child. They probably have experienced this before, because not many kids are just making up ways to be horrifically violent to one another. Most of the time they're acting out something that they've experienced already or are chronically experienced. Just like when we see kids that are hypersexualized, 9 times out of 10, that's a child that is experiencing sex in some way. So it doesn't come out of nowhere. But I think that the fact that we normalize it, the fact that we look at our childhood, right? I came out, I'm successful. It wasn't that bad. It didn't end my life. Our kids are different than us. Our kids are not going home, warming the food, not answering the phone. Like, we were built a certain way. And these kids are not built that way. And we intentionally didn't build our kids that way, right? And so I think that it's sad and it's heart-wrenching, but I think that if kids felt like they could be honest, those statistics would be much higher if we look at it from maybe 2nd grade, where kids can really express intimidation and explain things that are happening to them that make them feel uncomfortable. I think that those numbers would be so much higher than what we just showed.
I do have a question, Lala, or to kind of piggyback off what Marlo was just saying. I mean, that's what I was thinking. What's the difference between us all growing up in the 80s or 90s and all the things that I think we had to endure versus like our kids being able to take those things? I don't know, Joe, can you kind of explain to me like the psychological difference? Like Marlo just said, we were kind of like groomed, like, you a latchkey kid, you like, what's the difference, and why can't they take it as like, I mean, obviously we experienced some trauma because everybody I know needs therapy, so there's that, but you know, what's the difference, and why are they committing, like, you know, suicide and doing those things as opposed to like just toughening, like taking it like we did?
Well, I'll say this. We didn't walk around with a 24/7 computer in our hand, you know. So once I got home, my bully did not have access to me anymore until the next day. All right. So also, whatever happened in that day happened in that day. There was no film, there was no recording that lived on in infamy forever. All right. Also, you know, you had to dive deep into your parents' bed to get that porn. You know what I mean? So the
The VHS?
Yeah.
I used to sneak and watch the VHS and then turn it off and then run.
Yep.
Get out that drawer in the back.
Right. You gotta make sure you get it right back to that same spot that it was on when you dug it out in the first place. No, all this sexualization is coming right at you. And I didn't know what Eddie Murphy was doing at home. Like, I didn't know what the celebrities were doing on a daily basis. I didn't know so-and-so was abusive to his girlfriend. I didn't know that so-and-so didn't take care of his kids because I wasn't reading newspaper or checking for it. So all of these things are and Marlo's absolutely correct. Your situation is not your kid's situation. I'm not saying which one is better or worse, but you have to understand that it's a different environment. And most of our kids have grown up in this. They don't know what it was like to not have access to every single celebrity and every single sexual thing that goes on. And the comparison, we know comparison is a big motivator of anxiety, right? So I got to look, man, I don't have the fresh clothes. I don't have, you know, the nice car or the nice house or none of these things. And I got to go take my picture in front of somebody else's nice car just to look like I'm doing something. You know, that one shirt that I got. Now, if I put my picture, I take my picture on it. Now everybody, oh, that's the one you had on in the picture, right? Yeah. You know, so it's just a different method and mode that they got to deal with. And that all encompasses just stress, anxiety, depression, anger, right? That's where it all comes from.
Ooh, that is heavy. I'm telling you, I've often said to my husband, thank God we did not grow up when it was a time where people were recording things, because the things I used to do when we were allowed to roam free in the country, look, long as you was home, because we didn't have no street lights in the country, at the dusk, you needed to be home at the dusk, and you knew what the dusk meant. Honey, my adventures during the day, I'm glad half those wasn't recorded, because I would probably still be bullied to this day. But now these kids have a totally different level of things that they have to watch out for. And usually when it's one bully, it's not just one. There seems to be a gang of them. But we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back to continue this conversation.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
Get your money right. Get your money tight. All you got to do is head on over to the website. We have a lot of great resources for you. flynubianmoney.com. Go on over there and get yourself started. New Year's coming. No reason for you to wait to the new year to get yourself on track. Do it now. I want to get back to this conversation. Marlo, you kind of mentioned that, bullying is common, but I want to pull up a graphic that we have a little bit on how common is it? Isn't bullying a normal part of childhood? And the answer is no. There are negative effects for all involved. These problems can persist into adulthood. Yeah, that I can attest to. Students who are bullied experience feelings of depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and are less engaged in school. Students who bully may experience conduct and other mental health disorders. Now, it says no, but it seems like everybody I've talked to, even on our panel, we all have been bullied. So sometimes I wonder if they have that right or not. But I want to address, for those who are just joining, this is such an important topic. I want to rerun the video again, because I think you truly need to hear what happened. We have a lot of people who say it's racial on this, and we don't know those facts yet. But there are solid facts that this kid was found hanging. So I want you to take a look at this, and we'll be right back to finish our discussion.
I spoke with the parents who say they're angry, hurt, and confused, but they're also thankful that their son is still here. And tonight they're calling for transparency and answers from the Charles County Public School District.
If you look at my son, he has marks under his eyes, like blood vessels.
He still has bruises on his neck from being choked.
It's hard to hide emotion as these two parents who don't want to be identified talk about their son. They're hoping for answers after they say their son was hung by a 4th grade student in the boys' bathroom Friday.
He's traumatized. Right. It's going to take time. This is not something that he's going to get over just overnight.
Paperwork from the hospital lists one of his injuries as a neck contusion, which is caused by blunt trauma to the neck. The 7-year-old is a 2nd grader at C. Paul Barnhart Elementary School in Waldorf. Charles County Public Schools says they're aware of the incident and sent a statement saying, in part, 2 of our students were reportedly horseplaying in a school bathroom when one student's jacket got caught on a stall door hook. The student was not able to free themselves, and the other student involved was also not able to help them.
It doesn't make sense to me. If you're horseplaying, how do you get caught on a hook? We need answers. I want answers, and we won't stop until we get answers.
And now the parents say they're sharing their side of the story in hopes of preventing this from happening to anyone else.
My son did tell me that when they were in the bathroom, he said that the little boy told him, "I'm going to show you how I did people back in the day." That's why I feel like it's bullying, because it's no telling how many other kids this has happened to.
And they want the school district to step up.
I want to see a policy in place. I would like to see at least hallway monitors. I want to know, why is a 4th grader in the same hallway or the same bathroom as the 2nd grader? Most schools have them divided. I feel like this is very unacceptable.
These are all our children, and they are the future. So we need to protect them. Like, we're sending our kids to schools every day thinking that they are safe.
Ooh, I'm telling you, when this topic was sent to me today, I read it, I acknowledged it, and I had to go and pray, because my heart just could not take it. Athena, do you feel that the schools are doing enough to protect the children from harm or bullying?
Clearly not when we see those stats, right? So, and clearly not when we have all experienced that. And I think you guys said your children have experienced that as well, right? It could never be me. Listen, even though my mom's crazy, one thing she did right is, if anyone did anything, she pulled up. She pulled up. And she was there, so I appreciated her for that. And if I ever had a child, if anybody ever comes to my family, period, they will be erased. Like, I have no, I'm telling you, I'm getting legal, spiritual justice. If it finds out that this kid is another race, I'm calling Ben Crump today. Like something needs to happen. I'm sending out press releases. I'm gonna have ABC at my front door giving me a full interview. I'm reaching out to every lawyer on the face of the earth. Like I'm reaching out to everybody in New Orleans that can find me a good route. I'm doing everything. You cannot be walking around, yamming up food, living comfortable, and my child is in the hospital hanging on for life. Like you have to be erased. I'm sorry. Whatever your life was before, it's completely changed after this. And you decided to do that. And I'm coming for the dusty parents too.
You know, I feel the same way. I just do. I mean, I have had to step in and threaten parents over my child, and as soon as I showed up on the doorstep and made those threats, they stopped. In the same case where there was a bullying toward me, and this person kicked me in the eye. My eyes swole up and this was a family member. Okay, this was a cousin. For whatever reason, she didn't like me. And so when my mother called her parents over and made herself clear, that bullying stopped immediately. So sometimes we do have to go a little bit further than what we need to do. But today it just seems like it gets glanced over, which brings me to another question. And this one is for you, Joe. So how do you think the school system can deal with this when they clearly need more mental health supports for students and teachers?
Throw the whole thing away. I mean, you want to be honest about it. I mean, I know that's a big lofty goal or a big lofty task, but we got to throw the whole thing away. It's not designed to be effective. Ultimately, what we should want from our school system is to produce better humans and productive members of society, right? That should be the number one goal. What they learn and what information they come out of there with should be secondary to the character and the value that they add to society. And we are not equipped because we are not looking for that. We are not testing for that. We're not even measuring that as a school system. We are measuring how many people pass this test or how many people pass this test, what rate, whatever. That's what we're measuring. And that is what the pressure we're putting on our teachers to accomplish. It's not even about what extra efforts they can put forward into making these young people better humans. We're not training for that, and we're not even asking them to do that, because that is not what that's not where the school system gets its funding from. It gets its funding from how well these people are doing on these tests. So until we start measuring what we need to measure, these are the type of things that are going to happen, because as a parent, you're telling me I have to educate my child, right? I should have a reasonable expectation that if I send them to your institution, that they won't come back alive and whole. Reasonable. Okay, not 100%, but I should have that reasonable expectation. Throw the whole thing away, because we're not doing it.
Throw it away.
And that's how I feel like this whole thing, like, where do we start? It's like you have to say, we're so far gone that how do you even correct it? Like you said, throw it away. But Tiara, so you've experienced this with your daughter. So what kind of policies would you want to see put in place to prevent something like this from happening again? I mean, you took your child out of the system, but what would you want the school to do in order for you to even have her return?
There just has to be a level of safety. I know the mother said we want hall monitors. It's so interesting because when I was growing up, we had hall monitors. And it's also interesting that teachers usually take their kids to the bathroom. And then, and then they're watching, not necessarily going in and watching them, but like the mother said, why is a second grader and a fourth grader in the same bathroom at the same time? And how do they even have the space for that? Right? Did somebody skip? Like, what is going on? So I would just say, I know that the teachers are not in a position at this point to be able to have their hand over every child because just of the environment of the school. So, I mean, we always go back to better pay for the teachers, lower class sizes, just something in place where the students can be truly monitored and taken care of. And I heard Joe earlier when he said it's not it shouldn't, the school should not be taking care of the kids. There's a responsibility as parents that we have. You know, when we got into our little thing with the school district, they didn't allow us to know who the other student was or meet the parents. We couldn't meet the parents, and we couldn't
What?
find out information. Because they wanted to protect both of the parents. You know, I don't know, but we couldn't meet with them. They actually did like mediation with us, and then they did mediation with the other family, and then kind of just was like that middle person said, like the mama said sorry. You know, it wasn't like I couldn't talk to the mother
Oh.
directly.
Mm-mm.
So I would want to see just a better structure. I just felt like my daughter was always kind of at the mercy, like it I just didn't feel like she was safe. And so we just had to remove her from that environment. And I'm talking about from all cylinders, not just from little boys who don't look like us. Because I also raised her in California. So the kids don't look like her in the school district that she was going to a lot of the times. So the little boys are, you know, touching her butt or whatever. I mean, I'm talking about, my daughter was in 4th grade at the time. And she didn't come home and say, hey, this boy is harassing me in school. She said she went to the teachers, and they minimized the whole situation. Like that was it. They just made it, they gaslit her. And so she didn't come home and tell us that. So, I mean, I could go on and on and on, y'all. I mean, when I tell y'all that it has been the last probably 3 years of our lives trying to get my daughter back has been traumatizing just for us as parents. So we scared to send her back. I feel like she needs to be around other kids, but there has to be like a pod system. I'm looking for a pod system. Anybody in LA that has a pod system for 8th and 9th grade, or you know, something that is smart with good quality kids around her.
And the thing for me is if you're dealing with this, how in the hell are the kids learning anything if they're afraid or being bullied and that's on their mind? How can they possibly pay attention to what's going on for the learning environment? That's a whole nother can of worms. But we're going to take another deep breath because I'm going to need it. And we'll get right back to this topic. We'll be right back.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, yes, yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and review so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
You know what to do. We give you homework every day. Now, listen, you know you got a lot to say. You always chat with us and talk back to us, and we love the conversation. But if you really want to put your voice to what you're saying as well, all you have to do is just send us an email. We would love to have you. So send that to info@realvirtual.net because we listen to all points of view. Because why? One-sided ain't good. We don't come to solutions if we can't debate on things and come to a foundational agreement. So come on and do that. Marlo, I'm going to kind of piggyback off of my question that I did with Tiara. So how can schools create an environment where students feel comfortable reporting bullying without fear of retaliation? Because one of the things I don't like that Tiara had to go through is the fact that I don't like that mediation thing. I need to know who the student and the parent is. What if we coming across the street toward one another and we need to know our kids are having a problem? But what can the schools do to create a comfortable environment?
So I mentioned about the litigation. LA, California, but Los Angeles County specifically has the most lawsuits against school districts, right? So they are particularly afraid of anything related to a school district lawsuit. Scares the bejesus out of that state in particular because of the amount of funding that has gone into lawsuits, frivolous and founded, right? But I think that schools, somebody in the comments said it started with the principal. They were a teacher at a school in, I think they said North or South Carolina. The principal is the first line, right? If your principal doesn't believe in conflict resolution, if your principal doesn't believe in students having an opportunity to breathe, if they don't prioritize recess so that young kids can burn off, and particularly boys can burn off some of that energy that they have stored throughout the day, then you're going to have a school where these little pods of bullying exist more prevalently than in schools where kids are breathing. I've gone into schools and they have like ways to work out conflict, and two kids that have had an issue will stand face to face and they'll say what they gotta say. They go through stages with a teacher. Maybe immediately they can't be around each other because they're gonna fight as soon as they see each other. But at some point, the conflict resolution comes to a head when those two students meet and talk out what their issue was. Now, parents, we talk about kids, we talk about the district, but some of you parents are terrible.
Trash.
I'm gonna say it again.
Trash.
Athena, trash.
Awful.
So some parents are not helpful in terms of, exactly. That's what you need your black shades, honey, because some of these parents make you got to go invisible so that you don't go to jail. So I think that's the one element that we're not talking about enough, is what's going on in the home and how is that manifesting itself in school, and how is it hurting parents like Tiara and myself and whomever else, where your child is adversely affected by somebody's bad parenting, by somebody's parental neglect, by somebody's, just their chaotic lifestyle is spilling into the school, and now it's coming into your house, right? Now it's disrupting your peace. Now it's interrupting your good vibe you had with your child. And so I think that we have gotten away from taking care of each other in society. My mom used to say when she was raising me and my brother, I'm raising y'all like this so that if you ever got to go live with somebody, if I close my eyes today or tomorrow, I know you gonna be able to be self-sufficient, right? People are not doing that. People are raising their kid for today. You got your kid addicted to Jordans. You got your kid addicted to
social media.
Whatever. You got to be always on the scene. Your kid got to be on every scene. There's no accountability. There's no earning, right? We used to have to earn things when we were younger. People just giving their kids everything out of lack, out of whatever. Joe, the therapist, he could tell you how to mind, you lack something in one place and then you overcompensate in another. He could tell you all about that. But I think that the parental issue cannot be ignored in this. And it's sad that parents can't get face-to-face mediation. If your kid wrong my kid, I need to talk to you. Yes. I don't need to talk to the mediator, right? Yes. Because I need to look at you. I need to be able to size you up. I need to be able to see if you're the type of person that should even be raising a child, right?
Yes.
Because I really need to see if my child needs to avoid you at all costs. Do I need to pull my kid out of this school because the teachers and the principals are ill-equipped? It's a lot, but it's mostly we don't want to take care of each other. Everybody want to live in an individual bubble and then be outside together angry. And I don't like it. I don't like how y'all living in 2024. I hope 2025, everybody come with a different mindset, because it's out, y'all.
Y'all got to get on Joe's couch. Can I add something to that? On top of that, right, with all the things that Marlo just said, some people are not parenting their children. They're giving them a tablet. They're giving them TV and saying, here, I'm gonna let the internet do it. And so that also is causing a toxic, because there's all kind of darkness on the internet. And so they're taking that and bringing it to schools and bringing it to our kids. And it's just not a good look. It's not a good look.
And that's what I say a lot. Y'all hear me say it's really interesting when I'm bounced back and forth from the country. The minute I get off the plane from Portugal to America, I see babies with phones in their hands, watching TV, getting mad when the parents won't give them the phone. And when I'm in Portugal, them babies ain't looking at nothing but playing on the playground. It's amazing to see the cultural differences in different countries on how it's done. But I find this comment very interesting. And Joe, I'm going to tag this one onto you. Shilnick Laundry said and if I butchered your name, my love, please do not blame my head or my heart, because sometimes I don't get names right. The administration needs to be stern on consequences. Also, parents should be mandated to come to PTC, or when they have a behavioral child, it should be mandatory for counseling as a family. So this brings me a question for you, Joe. Do you believe that there is enough awareness about these bullying? Because sometimes you don't even really know if your child is being bullied until it's gone past bullying. So this administration, if they know that, do you think that they should have the charge of saying, oh yeah, this is bullying, or no, this is just horseplay? So do you think there's enough awareness about all forms of bullying that's happening in school?
Actually, I do. I think the awareness isn't the problem. It's the reaction to the bullying that needs to be. And there's no these people are not trained, and they are also extremely exhausted. So I do want to give a little bit of grace to, because having been an educator myself and knowing and understanding what that life is, it is very, very hard. It's a very difficult job. And in today's world, based on all the things that Marlo's saying about parents, imagine having to deal with that times 30, 25 on a regular basis. And it's not, you can't go do anything about it. And we're the mindset of, okay, these things are happening. These kids are dealing with this. We can't go correct or change these parents in any kind of way. So now what? Because we're still responsible for managing the whole, not just the one. You don't get an opportunity to just narrow it down to one. You got to manage the whole. You got to manage the gifted child in the back, the special needs child in the front, the bully in the middle. Are they aware? Yes, they are aware, but they don't know how to cope with it, and they're not being trained. I bet you if I was to go to get in a time machine and go into teacher training, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago, and go into teacher training today, I don't believe it'd be all that different. I really don't believe it'd be all that different. So I'll keep saying
we're just hearing more of it because of our platforms now?
Yes. Well, also because there's an increase. We're hearing more of it because it's increasing. It's getting a little more difficult to hide. But and the things that these kids are dealing with, as I said earlier, are exacerbated. They're blown up. There's more than what there was. So all the factors, but I don't believe the teacher training would be that different. We're still operating on what worked 30, 40 years ago, and that barely worked. So we got to throw the whole thing away. I know I keep saying it, but but hey, there's always the mama sorry, like Tierra said. You always go to that policy if you want. The mama said she was sorry. How that working out?
Listen, let me see that mama on the street.
Right.
I don't know what she look like.
Right. But then again, Tara, also, I still feel like you still need to know that, because you do need to kind of know the parents' mentality. Because what if you do find each other on the street and the child is already outed what the other parent was? It's a whole different level of protection there, as well as accountability. Athena, and Joe, thanks for saying that you did work in the school system, because someone did specifically ask if anybody was on the panel that had worked in the educational system, and Joe has. Athena, so should the school district be financially liable for these types of incidents, and how do you think that they should be accountable for these? Let's go back to the fact of this case. The fact of this case is not just this child was shoved or spit on or called names. This child was hung. So should this school district be liable, especially since they're just saying it's horseplay? And how do we keep them accountable?
Is the sky blue? Listen, they definitely need to be accountable. Actually, the whole school need to be shut down. I would own the school. My name will be on the school after I'm through with them. That might be the quickest way for us to get to school than waking on Umar, to be honest with you. However, we need to talk about the financial implications of bullying. And I, being a CPA and a numbers queen, honey, has bring up the numbers and the stats for y'all. So the financial implications of bullying to the family are the medical expenses, for their anxiety, depression, educational disruptions, for having to take them out to school, leading to loss in tuition fees, relocation costs, and disruptions in learning, and having to now pay for their own child's education versus benefiting from the public school system. Loss of future earnings. Victims may perform poorly academically due to stress, potentially affecting their long-term career aspects and earning potential. Legal costs for having to fight these battles with the school, societal costs, healthcare system burden. Long-term mental health effects of bullying contribute to increased public health care costs, judicial and correctional costs, and social services. Both victims and perpetrators may have stunted educational or career achievements, reducing their contributions to the economy. So I want everyone to know that bullying has a financial impact on the people and the families that are being bullied, the school system, the healthcare system, the educational system, judicial system. It is a big problem in our society that has a financial impact on our dollars and the future earning potentials of the victims. And this is something that we need to seriously take a look at because it impacts our society.
Can I just
And when you
add to
say,
that?
yes,
Listen, when we decided to have Lauren at home, I had to think like she gonna eat more. I mean, I made her meals anyway, but she gotta eat. I gotta pay for all of the activities that she was getting at school. Now I gotta pay for them independently. Like she gotta go to theater, she gotta go to, park and rec. It's just like it got
Tierra,
expensive.
they should have cut you a check
They
for you
should have.
having to raise your own child or educate your own child. And
I
maybe,
know
I
that.
don't know, hopefully, I know this new administration kind of crazy, but hopefully something can be arranged. But parents need an option to when the school system where they are located at has failed them, that they get access to the dollars that their child would have had so they can offset some of these costs.
And there is a program that'll pay you, but it's a process. And I think we decided not even at the last minute, like a week before school started, her dad was like, yeah, we ain't going back to school. I was like, no. Okay. Well, I knew no, but I was just, like it kind of hit me like, oh, so she's going to be at home. So that means that I need to put together, because we still want her to be socialized. I think that's the biggest issue that I have is that I feel like my baby don't see enough people, but but I also feel like I don't really want people around her. I really don't, not just
Have
anybody.
you looked at the grocery store lately? How many people do you really want to be around your children anyway? Most people dusty.
That's right.
Let's be honest.
That's
It's these dusty parents bringing they dusty kids, messing it up for everybody. Listen, build a hedge around your kids and your family because listen, as a society, people barely roll. I see bonnets everywhere, pajama pants. People don't care about themselves. They don't care about them kids. So I do not care. I be pulling up and I look and I drive off sometimes. I'm like, I can't be around this dusty energy. I gotta be at the store when everybody at work.
Listen.
Like it is not a game, so I can only imagine these kids.
It's so
but
true.
that says a lot about our society, though, when you can't even send them to school and you also have to constantly be on guard about your children everywhere you go. Now, when I was a kid, mama could send me to the bathroom in the mall by myself. I didn't have to worry about that. Nowadays, you better worry about that because you don't know who's in that bathroom, and it could be male or female. It doesn't matter. There's just so much that we have to take into account today. But Marlo, I have a question for you. What do you think should be done when bullying crosses the line into something as dangerous as this with physical harm?
I think you gotta, as a parent, try to stay out of jail, right? I think that's like your first obligation because you gotta take care. Now you can't have your kid be a drain on society because you done went bananas, right? You went ape shit, and now the whole thing is turned upside down. So I think first of all it's really in the relationship with the child. My older kids were really intentional about getting off social media when things would get too hot. They were in the first wave of social medias everywhere all the time. And now I'm very happy there's a law in Louisiana where the kids can't have their phones in schools, right? So it's a statewide law. Phones gotta be off, and in a pocket of your book sack or put away somewhere. They can't be out and visible. So I do like that. I feel like it forces the kids to socialize more. But I think that bullying is, I think you're lucky if you find out that your child is being bullied, right? And that they aren't just holding it in and becoming a different person, because a lot of times kids will change under the pressure of a bully. So I think, it's a hard thing to learn. Nobody wants to know that their child is being bullied. It hurts you as much, if not more, than it pains them. But at the same time, like, stay out of jail, folks, because we don't want to take care of your kids and your legal defense, right? When you go to jail for your kid. I realize we're going to ride for our kids, but teaching them why this is unacceptable is more important. Making sure that you have a bridge between you and your child where they're going to feel comfortable coming and laying everything out, and it's a shame-free environment, right? Because the bully situation is already riddled with shame. So when they come to you, they have to know that there's no shame. You could tell me whatever you need to tell me. I'm actually the biggest bully. So if we need to go pulling up is possible if that's where we gotta go. And normally, she'll laugh off stuff like that. But I think that you have to let your child know that you are the advocate. Ain't nobody riding harder for them than you, so that they come and tell you everything. Because what you don't want is for some little cretin to tie your baby up to a door and leave them. That's the part that's really driving me, y'all, is that this little terrorist left talking about he couldn't help. Teach your kids to help people when they are in distress, especially if you're the one that tied them up and put them in distress.
Exactly.
You put
But I think one thing that we're not talking about also is the fact that if you find out that your child is the bully, you need to step up as well. Because there's a lot of parents that just act like, oh, well, I gave him a punishment. No. Your child is a problem. Get that child in therapy or address the situation of what's going on in your home. Your child is just as guilty being the bully, but you can't play it off that way. And I think that's what we're not addressing today too. What would you do if you found out that your child was the bully?
Well,
right?
Listen, you just a reflection of you. It's you. You gonna be like, what? Well, I don't know what they're talking about, because it's your ass. You the bully.
Exactly.
You're bullying that baby.
But wait, not always the case. It's rare. It's rare. Now I'm gonna deflect to Joe on this. Joe, is it always the parents' fault, or could that still be coming from something else that they didn't know about?
It's them.
You ain't gonna like it, dear, but
no, it's them.
It's them dusty parents.
It's the parents.
In my
parents.
There is listen, I'm talking about, I ran teen and adolescent groups, and part of the requirement of running those groups was to do a weekly family session with the parents. Okay. So a lot of times those parents will come into those family sessions, and yes, there is some accountability to be held, but a lot of it was out of the parents' control. And it's very often the case. Sometimes there's just societal pressures and things that go on that the parents aren't privy to. And because of that, I never had a family session, not one time, initial family session, where that parent didn't break down and start crying. It happened every time.
Because they know.
Yeah, because they're about to lose their house.
I hear you. It's at their house. But I hear you, Joe. But you know your kid, right? I know Lauren. If little Johnny, let me just say, I'm going to use somebody else, but not my daughter. If little Johnny locks himself in the room all day and is doing all type and is being weird, right? You know your kids. I'm not going to allow, you can't tell me that they take their kids and bring them to a therapist and then be like, I don't know what's wrong. They know something.
You don't think they embarrassed, Joe?
Yes.
You don't think they, like, you find out your kid, because I would be embarrassed as hell.
I do know that they're embarrassed. I'm not saying that they don't have accountability in it. What I'm saying is they're not always aware, as aware as you might think. Now, I do agree with what you're saying, Tiara. I agree with what you're saying. However, there are circumstances that sometimes it just go beyond what a parent is capable of. And I know that's not an excuse anybody wants to hear, but sometimes people struggle, And, like, we can't go back into time machines and make corrections and fix situations. But what we can do is take accountability for where we are and try to make corrections and do some healing from that point on. Now, does a parent have the responsibility of doing that? Absolutely.
If you see your kid being weird or aggressive or whatever, you should pay attention to it
If you
and not
see
turn blind eye.
They're gonna pay attention to this slap that they're about to get.
Listen, pop the piss out of them. You better.
use
What
Well,
did
see, I
Five
threw
Fingers
that
say to
wrench
the
in
face?
there. I threw that wrench in there, right? But that is something that we still should have addressed on this show, because it is important to also think about that as well. Now, listen, guys, we actually have the holidays coming up. And with the holidays coming up, if you have a business that you would like to get out and in front of other people, why not take the time to advertise with us? As you see, we talk about great topics. We have a wonderful, wonderful panel. We always have wonderful people who communicate with us in our chats. We actually go live on many different pages. We have a lot of replay views. A lot of people come to us for their news because they know they're going to get it straight here. We go live 5 days a week, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we have that huge reach for your audience. So this is your chance to connect with potential clients who are actually really eager in finding out more about your business. As you can tell, a lot of our community is now trying to see what they can do with smaller businesses right now in our own communities. Fly Nubian Money is the way to go. So you want to make sure that you get in front of your target audiences, and you don't want to miss this opportunity. It's really easy. So all you have to do is use our wonderful email address that you should know by heart. Now, you probably should recite this in your sleep. Just email us at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@REELVIRTUAL.net, and put in the subject line Fly Nubian Money ad, and we will send you our ad rates. I can't wait to see what your businesses are so that we can help you get connected to your audience. This has been a powerful hour. It's been a thought-provoking hour. It's also been an emotional hour, because my heart really breaks for this family. But I would like to hear our final thoughts and where we can find everyone on the panel. I'm actually going to start with you, Athena. Your final thoughts and where can we find you?
The final thoughts is that this could never be me and my child. Okay, because me and their father would run down on them in 2 seconds. Okay, 2 seconds. If you want to make sure that if this ever happens to you, you have the money and resources to hire the lawyer that you're going to need to make that family homeless, you can find me and all my information at elevatewithathena.com. And to get your money up, I know a lot of you guys have Black Friday coming and you're going to buy all type of nonsense. If you want to work on generating income, I have courses and other products available for you. You can also find me at We Wealth Women on all social media platforms and listen to my podcast, the We Wealth Women podcast, where you listen to podcasts.
You got your homework assignment. She gave you where to go. Make sure that you go and check out Athena. She's got some good things for you. Help create some wealth in your pockets. Marlo, your final thoughts and where we can find you, please.
So my final thought is, don't raise a cretin, right? Talk to your kids, elevate your kids, elevate their mindset beyond superficial things that don't matter. And an easy way to do that is just through open, honest communication. Don't be the parent that is shamed in front of Joe when you find out that your kid been 12 years a bully and you don't know what to do with yourself because they're the greatest actor in the world. Don't get sued by Athena and her husband that's coming because you know she put on those glasses to let y'all know she's not playing about her unborn kids. I'm just saying, be kind. It does not cost $1 or a dime for you to be a good, kind human. That don't mean you soft. That don't mean people could play with you. That don't mean people could mess over you or any of that. It just means that you are not going to let somebody else get you out of your bag, and have you change emotionally and react emotionally to a situation that in the grand scheme of life, y'all know it doesn't matter. If you're looking for me, my name is Marlo Layson. I create content online, visual and written under my name, or you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Ora Marlo. That's my first name backward, forward, little underscore on the end. And I'm also active on a new little place that I've discovered called The Blue Sky. So if you want to be Black with me in the blue sky, you can look for Lil McLeod. That's it.
I absolutely love it. That is the new hang, and I'm absolutely enjoying the peacefulness there. Tiara, what are your final thoughts, and where can we find you?
Ooh, this has been a triggering conversation for me. But what I know is I'm not the only parent that has been struggling. You know, if you are a parent that has had a similar experience like I have, know that you can get your child back. You can reel them back in. You can find help for them. They are not lost to public school or even school, private, public. They are not lost to the school system. You can pull them back in and get them the help that they need. I believe in that. I think that that is possible. So I'm sending you all light and love. Even the family that this thing happened to, I'm sending them light and love. Listen, we are starting a Fly Nubian Money. Let me get myself out of that because I don't like to close this. Okay. So listen, we are starting a Fly Nubian Money Club. We launched December 1st. I am bringing all types of experts from every industry to you. I know a lot of people are fearful with this administration and everything that's happening, but Black people, we don't have to be fearful, because as long as we get our money right and get ourselves in financial order, patronize each other, we gonna be all right. So I'm bringing all kind of resources. I'm talking about loopholes. We gonna figure out where the bag is and where the money resides. I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna bring it to you in this group. So if you are interested, please go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. That's Fly Nubian Money Club. We are already starting to get subscribers. I'm so excited. So yes, flynubianmoneyclub.com.
You got your assignment. This is getting ready to start, and this is going to be amazing. So you sitting there, look, we done told you to go to the website, but now you need to add that club at the end of it so you can come on and join the club, okay? Let's not be fearful. Let's step out on faith and together as a community become stronger financially, not only for yourself, but for your children and those that you love. You start with yourself. Now, Joe, I want to hear what your final thoughts are and where can we find you?
Okay, I'm just trying to hold it together today. These ladies is acting up, and I appreciate it, and I love it always. I'll just say this: parenting is hard, and Marlo is right. A lot of times, I know you're ashamed of the way that you showed up in a parenting situation, and you don't know how to admit that or say that out loud, and you don't know what to do, right? But that's okay. Parenting is hard, and I know that for the most part, we are out there just doing our best, trying to adjust to the day-to-day needs of our children, and it is not easy, and I don't take that for granted. I see you. So for those people that are struggling with that, I just advise you to start the healing process, whatever that looks like for you. And also I want to say that trying to get other people to live the way that you want them to live is just a recipe for stress and struggle. So sometimes it may be you talking to your children about how to adjust and how to live in a world that doesn't necessarily want to be fair to them. Okay. So there's healing on all sides of that thing. Go find it. We're having a conversation tomorrow night about Black fatherhood and what our role is in that. It's a very interesting conversation. It's not going to be the typical one, and we're going to talk about what the attributes of Black fatherhood looks like. So I want you to come join us. But on the Boss Network.
And
what's
the name of the show?
My pack. Look. My podcast, Vulnerability is a New Sexy. We're coming back.
Let's give it up for Joe. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
My bad. That's my hype girl. Anyway, RealYouConsulting.com. Come get some real healing. Like I said, I'm not an entertainer, y'all. I'm not an entertainer. I do this in real life. I really am about the healing of other people. So holla at me. I'm out here.
I think you could see that in Joe. He is always coming with the knowledge, and we absolutely adore him. We love you, Joe. And here's my final thoughts. Although my child is going to be 38 in January, I still had to deal with him, and I also had to deal with me. And the one thing is that we cannot ignore that this is a problem. We must take care of our children because it does have more ramifications than just emotional. Athena did talk about the financial as well, but we can't raise hoodlums. We need to raise our children to be good humans. There is a difference because that's one thing that is common. We all bleed red. So let's keep the humanity in our life and treat one another accordingly. I am Laura Lalaki. I'm an international real estate agent, and I love what I do, and I do what I love. You can find me at bit.ly/Laura Key Info. I have a lot of good free resources for you there. If you're worried about your budgeting and you just need a good worksheet to get started, I got a free one there. So head on over there and do that. Listen, we want to take the time to say thank you. We can never say thank you enough because we wouldn't have a show if we didn't have those who come to support us and to have the conversations with us and put in your input. We are greatly appreciative of you. Now, if you ever miss our shows, you want to make sure that you just head on over to Spotify. Don't forget to do that. And then download us at Fly Nubian Money. And then also give us a good rating so that other people can find us too. And don't forget to do all the homework. Go to our website, flynubianmoney.com, for free resources. Email us if you want to be on the show. But most of all, continue to love on one another. My motto for life right now is be the light. So we'll bring you more light tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for being here. Be blessed. Bye.
Wait, before we go, tomorrow we are going to share Joe's link for Vulnerability is the New Sexy, the podcast. So he will not be here tomorrow, but we will share it tomorrow. And then for the person that said that we are condescending to Joe in the comments, we love Joe. We respect Joe. Joe is that.
Joe knows that I love him.
Now we
Joe,
have
tell them that we love him.
Never said that is a lie.
Yeah, we have a loving banter here. And if you get it, if you don't understand that, then you should probably not watch us. But Joe is the one. So that's not here. Don't bring that divisive stuff in our comments. And that's all I got to say.
And with that, we'll see you tomorrow.
You need a